Alright, Unit 2.2, truth statements, also known as compound statements. Right, so a compound statement is two sentences combined with and or because, right? So a truth statement is the same thing, two statements combined with and or, and then you determine whether or not the statement is telling you the truth or if it's false, true or false. Right, so a statement is a sentence that is either true or false. Right? I can tell you today is Tuesday, true. I can tell you today is Friday, false. A statement that is either true or false. This is called the truth value. Right? We represent our sentences, our statements, with letters such as P or Q. Right? P or Q are the most common when it comes to statements. Just like X and Y are the most common when it comes to equations. Right? So, for example, statement P, right? Statement P, supplementary angles have a sum of 180 degrees. The truth value is T, because that's true. Right? And then a negation sounds like negative, right? A negation, which sounds a lot like negative, the negation of a statement has the opposite truth value. It is the opposite. So whatever your statement is, the negation is the opposite. Right? So this says supplementary angles have a sum of 180 degrees, and it's true. So your negation, supplementary angles do not have a sum of 180 degrees, and it would be false. So it's literally just the opposite. Right? You make it the opposite by adding in not or something like that. Right? As you can see, the symbol is this little doohickey. I know. And it's read as not P. Right? If this is P, then this is not P. If this is the original and it's true, this is not the original and it's false. It's the opposite. Alright, so we're making compound statements. Compound statements, like we said, are two or more sentences combined by and or. If they're combined by and, then both statements have to be true for the sentence to be true. If they're combined by or, one of the statements has to be true for the sentence to be true. Right? So, statements joined by the word and are called conjunction. They combine, right? They are written as P and Q, and it's true when both statements are true. It's true only if both statements are true. If even one of the statements is false in an and, then the whole sentence is false. Both statements have to be true. The other is a disjunction. Statements joined by the word or, written as P or Q, true when at least one statement is true. Alright, so when you're dealing with or statements, either statement can be true and the whole thing is true. Both of them can be true, great, but only one has to be true. at least one of them has to be true to make the whole sentence true. And this is called a disjunction. Alright, write compound statements using the statements below and then determine each truth value. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do is figure out our compound statements. Before we even try to figure out true or false, we're going to write our compound statements. Alright, our P, there are 7 days in a week. Q, March has exactly 30 days. R, Halloween is on October 31st. If you want, literally visualize yourself picking up the sentences and putting them together. It helps to visualize it, right? Because we're doing a P and Q, which means we're going to combine them with an and, right? So before you even try to determine its truth value, write the compound statement, right? So there are 7 days in a week. And Q. March has exactly 30 days. Now that you have it written, go back and ask yourself, what kind of compound statement is it? It's an and statement, which means both parts have to be true. There are 7 days in a week, true. March has exactly 30 days, false. Both statements have to be true. If they're not both true, then it's false. Alright, again, Q and R. So March has exactly 30 days. And R, Halloween is on October 31st. Write your compound statement before you even start analyzing it. Alright? Alright? It's an and statement, which means they both have to be true. March has exactly 30 days. False. Halloween is on October 31st, true, which makes the statement false. They both have to be true because it's an and statement. Alright, you do number 3. Pause the video, do number 3, see what you come up with. Alright, hopefully you've already done it. It's an and statement. It's P, there are 7 days in a week. There are 7 days in a week. And R, Halloween is on October 31st. It's an and statement, so they both have to be true. There are 7 days in a week. Halloween is on October 31st. Both have to be true to make the truth value true. Hopefully that's what you got. Alright, now we're looking at the negation of P. So P is there are 7 days in a week. The negation is there are not 7 days in a week. We're just going to include the negative version, right? So there are not 7 days in a week. Not 7 days in a week. And what was Q? March has exactly 30 days. March has exactly 30 days. Alright, it's an and statement, so they both have to be true. False, false. As soon as I knew that one of them was false, the whole statement was false, because it's an and statement. This is, be careful, this one is an or. You notice how the symbol flipped? Now we're doing or. Make sure you're careful with that, right? P or R, right? So there are 7 days in a week. Or Halloween is on October 31st. Because it's an or, one or both of them can be true to make the statement true. True, true. You only need one of them to be true. Both of them were true. Not Q or R. Not Q. March does not have exactly 30 days. March does not have exactly 30 days. Or Halloween is on October 31st. It's an or, so one of them has to be true. At least one of them has to be true for it to be true. Alright, 7, not P or not R. So not P, there are not 7 days in a week. Or not R. Halloween is not on October 31st. One of them has to be true. There are not 7 days in a week. That's false. Halloween is not on October 31st. That's false. That makes the whole statement false. Alright, pause it. You do number 8. Okay? Let's see what you got. Not P or not Q. So there are not 7 days in a week. Or March does not have exactly 30 days. It's an or statement, so one of them has to be true. At least one of them. False, true. If one of them is true, if at least one of them is true, the statement is true. Alright, for the last ones, I'm going to create you 3 statements, and then you're going to follow the ands, the ors, and the negations. Alright, you're going to create your compound statements, and then tell me the truth value. Alright, so your P is going to be 5 times 5 equals 25. And 2 times 5 equals 15. And Christmas falls on December 26th. These are your 3 statements. Use them to answer the rest of the questions, all the way through 14. All right.